Hey everybody, it's Strict9 with Strict9 GP, and welcome back to another episode of my Out of the Park Baseball 20 playthrough with the Phillies. If you read the summary of this episode, you'll know kind of where we're at. The rebuild is real with this team. Uh, no way around it. I could not do the things that I was wanting to do around the trading deadline with some of the free agents that are on the team. I couldn't re-sign some guys, so I wound up trading away a lot of players and some key players. One of the commenters mentioned Alfredo Espinal, that I should try to re-sign him, and I would like to, but I just do not have the money to do it. As you can see, the player payroll is just over 100 million. For extensions, we've only got 10 million available, and two big guys, Espinal and the shortstop that I wanted to trade or wanted to re-sign, Mike Swan. I couldn't do it, so I wound up trading those two guys away. And there's some good news out of all of this, and we'll look at that when we're going over the team. But yeah, we're rebuilding again. I think it's this playthrough has been a continual rebuild, and it really, when this new owner took over, the son of the old owner, it kind of escalated in terms of, you know, how much money we've got to work with. It was a lot less, and so we're always kind of in that cycle of not having enough money to spend on free agents, and now we're getting to the cycle of we can't even extend the guys on the team who we want to keep. So in some ways it's frustrating, but on the flip side it's challenging, and I like the challenge. And I really prefer building a winning team, kind of away from free agency and trading. I like doing it mainly from my farm system when I can. So hopefully you guys like where I'm going with this. I know it seems like, man, when's this guy gonna win? But I've said before, one of the great things about this game is it's kind of like a role-playing. There's a role-playing aspect to it. So, I get a kick out of developing players, signing players, trading, players for players who turn out to, I trade for them because they're a value, but I see some positive ratings, or I've got this intuition that, hey, they're gonna turn out to be a good player. And when they do, I get some fun out of that. So it's not all about winning, but yeah, I would like to start winning again as well. But I'm not going to go through, I guess, every trade, but I'll take a look first off just where we're at on the pitching staff. And there's some definite positives here. Mainly these two guys who I'd say a couple years ago I was thinking were going to be future number one, number two, certainly mid-rotation type starters once they developed. Well, they're getting there. I mean, Contreras is still potential of 3 from my scout. He's got those 4 pitches, 3 of them very solid. He's had some decent outings. If he just stays healthy, next year this guy might make it to a number 3, number 4 starter. But Dion has been the bigger surprise. He's still the same way, potential of 3 stars. He's got 5 pitches, 3 of them solid, just 25 years old, but he has had a really good rookie season so far. 15 starts, 348 earned run average, 7 wins, 0.6 wins above replacement. That's not too bad. I mean, he might get close to 1. I mean, we're almost to the end of the season, but that's been 2 very big surprises. Mayhew, a guy I put some money into, he's going to be a free agent next year, so I've got him locked up for another year. And for the most part, he's been really good, really solid. Good ERA, already 4.0 wins above replacement. So the pitching staff, that starting rotation has looked better in just those 3 guys than it's looked in a while. Hannibal is a guy I called up after an injury, and he's responded pretty well. He was couple years ago, I used him quite a bit more, but he hasn't really had a place to land here on the team. Just a 2.5-star pitcher, but movement and control not that good. But since he's been called up from Lehigh Valley, he's had a pretty good run in September. So I'm hoping he looks good. But a lot of call-ups right now. We're in middle of September, so a lot of these guys are just 2.5, 3-star potential pitchers from my own farm system. But I did make a pretty big trade, as I talked about earlier. When I traded Espinal, I was able to pick this guy up, who's not even arbitration eligible right now. It was almost a mirror image of Espinal, so I was really happy to get this trade going, and he has been, gosh, close to dominant since I picked him up. My scout thinks he's a 3.5-star potential pitcher, but he's got great stuff. 5 strong pitches, 6 total pitches. He just doesn't have the stamina to be a starter, but both my scout and OSA likes him. I think this was a no-brainer. I mean, Espinal was wanting 12 to 14 million a year. He's already lost a tick or two after I trade him. He hasn't looked all that great for the Angels, although they've got him in the starting rotation. I think I really came out ahead on that trade, so I was very happy with it. I can see this guy taking off and really taking off or taking up where Espinal was. I don't think I lost anything in that trade. And then on the lineup side, Norman is still having a pretty decent rookie season. Gordon came back finally healthy, and he's looking lights out. Some guys here, Raid Hecker, who was a former Philly draft pick I traded away before he started to develop. Picked him up to take care of some injuries that were going on. The big news here, though, is when I had to trade Mike Swan, I couldn't get him signed. He was wanting $18 million a year for 7+ years on the contract. Couldn't turn that. So I traded him straight up for this guy. I believe I traded Mike Swan straight up for Dante Eubanks, who is very good defensive shortstop. He's got some great speed. Offense is not that great, but OSA thinks this guy's got a potential to reach 3.5 stars. I mean, that would make him comfortably above average as a shortstop. And since I picked him up, he's actually had some good runs at times. He's hitting over 250. And I mean, runs. I mean, he's just had a string of several games where he's played really well. So overall, I was happy with that pick. He's only 25. I don't think he's arbitration eligible this year. He's not. So I've got some control with him, so that's going to help me budgeting wise. So I did the best I could with that trade, but I think it might turn out okay. Some other things, I guess, to look at. I don't know where we stood with injuries on the last episode, but I made a big blunder here. And it's probably not going to turn out to be that big a deal, but for whatever reason, I put Lou Villa on the 60-day DL instead of the 17. He was only out for a few weeks. So he's been ready to come back for a while, and I haven't been able to bring him in. So he's got 3 days left. He's going to see some time at the end of the season. But I probably missed his bat for a month or so. Although with Villa, you never know. He could have come back in and, really gotten injured right away. But the big thing about him is he got injured right before the trading deadline, and I was hoping to trade him. And I waited too long. And I think that's a big caution for you guys if you're in the same boat. If you got a guy who gets injured a lot and you're thinking about trading him, don't wait. As soon as you've got it in mind that you want to trade him, go ahead, because odds are right when you need to trade him, he's going to be injured. And in this league, the rules are on that you cannot trade injured players. So he was basically, he's going to be a waste. I'm not going to re-sign him, even though my owner wants me to. He's wanting a lot of money. He's wanting $15 million, you see here. I can't swing that with the injury problems he's having. Lugo and Hines were the two biggest injuries to the pitching staff, so I'm really Hines is probably going to be with us again next year. I like what he's done this year. I think he can, and even 2 years ago when we traded for him, he's not going to be spectacular, but I think he can probably fill in fourth, fifth spot in the rotation when you need him. Lugo, another guy I'm not sure what I want to do with. He's had a very off year, 2 years in a row. He's looked pretty bad. Vargas is probably not going to be playing again for us this season, and I promise this time if we get a team option comes up, I'm not gonna re-sign him. So although he's such a fan favorite. If he's still out there in free agency and I can get him for a little bit of money, I might. But that's a long way away. So all that being said, we're in September. We're 20 games left exactly, and we are exactly at 500, 71 and 71. I know we finished a lot better last year, but I would take that as a victory considering where we are. I mean, we're just stretched so thin, and it's just been really impressive to me how we played on that pitching staff. I mean, this is the best we've looked as a pitching staff in a long time. I can't remember when we've looked this good as a pitching staff. We're top 10 in almost every category. Even our defensive efficiency, this is probably the best we've looked there. We're third in the National League. So with all these injuries and all the trades we had to make and having to give away so many guys, from July through now, 11 games into September, we're playing above 500. So I'm going to take that as a victory, even though we're not going to make the playoffs, I'm sure. And hopefully that'll lead to something positive for next year. If I look at free agents, I mean, there's only a few of these guys who I don't want to re-sign. Nobody really on the pitching side. Salary-wise, we could be in a pretty decent spot if two things. If we don't get Vargas, that'll free up 12.5. But I may misunderstand that. Vargas, let me see what that contract says. The team option might be after next season. Is that? Oh man. Wow. We'll deal with that when we come to it. But I think it's this season. And Lohman has a player option. It's a lot of money to walk away from, but he may actually decline it or accept the player option and walk and try free agency. And at this point, I would be okay with that. He gave us a few good years. I would love to have that $19 million freed up, honestly. Dusty Stern, $5.5 million, definitely going to be freed up because I'm not going to re-sign him. So I think we're going to be in a much better, and Cochran as well. I'm probably going to try to trade him, even though his bat has been really good in reserve. I don't think it's worth $5 million. So we could really go into the offseason, the free agent period, in a great spot to sign some good players. So rebuilding, but with the way this team is playing, with the guys that we picked up who I think, they're going to be under our control, team control for several years in some instances, there's a lot of upside right now that I haven't seen in a while with this team. So that's all good. So 20 games left. I'm going to go ahead and finish out the season and see how we finish. I would love to finish above 500, but I might be stretching it. And we start out with a big loss to Atlanta. Atlanta has a good pitcher here. And Zach Hacker. He's having a great year. Barbarossa didn't pitch too poorly, but no offense to speak of. Just 4 hits in the whole game. Game 2, this is a 4-game series, I think. And we do win 5-3. Gordon drove into Aguirre, who's had an off year. I still feel like in the right platoon situation, this guy could be okay, but he hasn't had a good year so far. Contreras, solid game from him. 7 innings, just 1 earned run. So that's what I'm saying. I'm really I'm seeing some upside. This guy stays healthy, and Mendoza, 37 saves, may have a chance at 40 this year. Game 3, another win, 5-3. Villa's ready. Let me see how we won this one. Tuck, who he's looked so-so as well. Norman 2 for 4. No real outstanding performances. Eubanks, who I talked about earlier, traded Swan for. He's 2 for 4. Hannibal, another good start from him. Scott didn't look too good. He's the guy who I traded Espinal for. So let's see how I'm going to fit Villa into this lineup. I think he's definitely going to be taking over for Aguirre. And against lefties, do I want Villa in there? Stern. If I look at how he's done against lefties this year, he's hitting 212. That's not good at all. Villa, he has some pretty decent ratings. I'll try him at left and just move Stern out of there. Stern has been a big disappointment. He's not going to stay on this team. And of course neither is Villa, but and then there we go. So 1 game above 500. See if that's enough to get us with the winning record. And hey, we won 3 of 4 from Atlanta. 6-4 in that last game. Portillo, pretty good game. He's struggled as well. Home run, Lou Villa, first game back, hits a home run. And Dion, maybe his best game of the year. But look at what he's given me in his last 5 starts. 6, 7 innings. Definitely been on a run. And splits. July was good. August was good. September, he may have had a bad start or 2 in there, but I'm really impressed with this guy. I hope that he turns out to be the real deal. So now we're going to go up against Boston. That might be a 2-game series, but it's at home. Raid Hecker, what's he want? He wants to be a starter, but that's no room for him at this point. He was just a kind of an emergency pickup. So the Red Sox are having a struggle this year, just playing .459 ball. We win the first one 6-5. Hobbs is injured there. That's a minimal, just a couple days. But Koopman, another minimal for a couple days. Koopman has had a good second half as well. So Alvarado, he struggled since I called him up. He was looking lights out in Lehigh Valley. But how did we win this one? Looks like Portillo, Villa, another good game. Gordon, good game from him. And then Mayhew, 6 innings, 3 runs, but couldn't get the win. Condeshera is another guy that I traded for at the All-Star break. Finally got rid of Steve White, who was a free agent signing, who was just a huge bust, and got rid of him. And I got rid of Transu, and I can't remember who I traded to pick up Transu, to be honest. It may have been another pitcher. It wasn't him. Well, I can't remember who it was, to be honest. But was it Barbaros? No. But I did trade away Transu, who was doing terrible. So those 2 guys, as soon as I got them out, our pitching really started playing a lot better. All right, so now game 2 with Boston, and we're 3 games above 500. Wow. Did not expect that. Can we eke out another win? No, 4-5. An RBI streak for Portillo, 7 games, pretty good. So players of the week, Ken Godsey, big power hitter. And then team rankings, we're at 11th. 2 games above 500. I still don't think we're going to make the playoffs, but it's nice to see we're ending, hopefully winning. A lot of guys in this game hit a couple hits, but Barbarossa, a good game for the most part. Bullpen, Mendoza blew it. Only his 4th blown save, though. So now we got a big test. 3 games on the road against Atlanta. And I'm going to take a look at the standings just to see. Oh, yeah, we're 5.5 games back in the wild card. So that doesn't seem like a possibility at this point. But let's keep going. We got 14 games to play. First game, big loss. And Lugo's eligible to come back. Let me see here. 2-14. Man, we were hammered in this one. Villa may have gotten another home run, but that's about the only positive. Hannibal, a bad game finally. Man, the bullpen, terrible in this game. So, Cincinnati's in the wild card. So I think I'm going to put Lugo back into the pitching rotation for Hannibal. Hannibal had a good run. I don't really expect him to keep that up. And we'll have Hannibal in for middle relief there. All right, game 2 against Atlanta. And then we got Cleveland after this. That could be a tough series. So another bad one. Contreras didn't have a great game here. Medrano, man, what is going on with him? I probably need to at least. I thought I had him set up to not pitch as much. Let me make sure I got him. Sergio, or where is he? Medrano. No, he's at long relief. Avoid high leverage. There we go. Rays are out of the playoffs. So see if we can pick up a win on the road. Finally, 5-1. That keeps us a game above 500. And Cleveland not playing too great, but it's going to be on the road against them. So that's still potentially going to be a tough series. In this one, Lohman, a good game. 3 for 4, drove in 3. Lugo back off the DL or injured list. 6 1/3 shutout innings. Good job. So now first game on the road against Cleveland. And, man, we're ending with a lot of road games here. Game 1, 7-3. Good win. Gordon, big game. 2 for 4. Drove in 4. If we'd had his bat for the full season, man, that would have been, I think, a big boost. Cochran, 3 for 4. It is going to be... It's going to be tough to see his bat go. If you look at his ratings, again, I'm using the 20 scale. Those ratings against righties, 17 contact, 16 gap power, 12 power, 18 avoid Ks. It's hard to beat that, but I just don't want to give him $5 million. Mayhew, another good game from him. Mendoza, his 39th save. Mike Thaler, injured. From Cleveland. Probably injured in that game, maybe. Game 2 against Cleveland. 5-6. Tough loss. Portillo, good game. Lohman, another couple RBIs, but Barbarossa, not that good. I wonder if I should have taken Barbarossa out, but I want to keep him in the starting rotation because I probably want to try him again in that starting rotation next year. So I don't want to give up on him right now. All right, so game 3, can we win the series? And we don't. It's another 1-run loss. So we're back to 500 with, what is that, 8 games left. So Portillo, a good game. Gordon, another 3 RBIs. Dion, a bad outing. First bad outing, though, like that from him in a while. So maybe he's going to have another start or 2, so that would be good to see. Players of the week, no Phillies, and we moved down to 18th in the power rankings. That was a rough week. Even though we've won 5 of our last 10, we were on a good roll there until then. But now we're on the road against Washington, who they're right below us, so they could catch us here in the East. And they start out pretty good, 5-1. Villa injured again. No surprise. Contreras, not too bad in this game. Just couldn't pick up a win. And now, let's see. Game 2 on the road at Washington. This is a 4-game series. And we lose in extra innings 3-4. So we are now below Washington. It's not looking good. I don't know if we can finish at 500 now. Lugo pitched pretty good, but just couldn't get our offense going. So we're out of the playoffs. No surprise. And let's see. We'll look at the playoffs here. 1-0. Man. So we're really going to end on a sour note. 77-80. We got to win all 4 games to even finish above, or finish at 500. We got to win 4 of the next 5. I don't see that happening. Mayhew pitched a good game. 10 strikeouts in 7 innings. That may be his season high. Come on, we need this win. And we can't get it. 2-1. Whew. Man, that's a bad way to end it. So we're probably going to finish with a losing record this year. After having a good run and a good chance. Let me look at the player development update before we finish it. So Joe Scott, the guy I got for Espinal again, one of the positives I think of the year is me being able to pick him up. He's looking even better based on my scouting. Lugo losing, I guess, movement rating. Hines still on that DL. I may have to rethink his position, but we'll see next year. See if there's any good bumps from some of my big prospects. I'm not seeing anything so far. Most of these are just kind of 1-star type players. I don't really... Zach Thompson, he's probably got a chance. He's at Williamsport right now. He'll probably get a call up in the offseason. But not seeing too much in terms of some of the bigger prospects. Now, Greg Flynn, who's at Williamsport, he was my #1 pick in 2037. Still hoping that he can develop. He's not doing too much so far, though. It's been kind of slow to develop. So, Players of the Month, Savello in the American League, Josh Atkins, who's a pretty decent player for 4-star player for the Cubs. He's had a decent career. Bobby Eath and Jorge Aguirre were Pitchers of the Month, and then Batters of the Month. Mike Wooldridge at Cincinnati. All right, so we're going to finish it off against Miami at home. We got to win all 4 to finish at 500, and we can't do it. So we lost 7-8. Gordon, a big game, 5 RBIs, but wow, Dion, another bad outing. I'm still hopeful, although he's now down to 2.5 potential. He's definitely going to get some chance next year, though. Can't believe how bad we ended this season, though. That's 7 in a row. This team just cannot get going. Here's a big win, 7-1. Another good game from Loam and Gordon. Gordon just, not quite. I guess that's about 2/3 of the season. He's still going to hit 30+ home runs, 75 RBIs. Guy's a really good player. Koopman, 2 for 3. Contreras, another solid outing from him. He hasn't lost any of his ratings. He's still, for my scout, a potential 3. And then, any news here? Rockies in Seattle in. And we lose again. So, 78-83. We're not even going to get to 80 wins. A poor finish. Lugo had a good game. Scott, not too good. Still like the guy's makeup, though. And then Eubanks, 3 for 4. He came on strong down the stretch. He hit 281 for us, or he has hit 281 since we got him. All right, so we're going to be playing the White Sox in a makeup game to finish. We finished in the 20s in terms of power rankings. Hopefully we can finish on a winning. Oh yeah, 3-2. I'll take that. Koopman 2 for 4, Aguirre 3 RBIs, and Mayhew 14 wins for him this year, very solid. And Mendoza 40 saves. He might have a chance at reliever of the year. He's going to be with me for at least one more year, and then I'll probably have to think about whether I want to extend him or not. They're predicting he'll get at least $8.8 million. Another reason, why I couldn't make some of the signings that I wanted to. In terms of extending contracts, I think Mendoza is pretty valuable right now. As long as he stays healthy, he's the kind of closer I like. I think I'd really like to keep him on this team for at least another 3, 4, 5 years even. That was his 100th career save as well. All right, so any prospects from us here making this list? Let me see. International League Trophy. Not really seeing any Lehigh Valley players there. So it's nothing good there. So playoffs are going to start. Let's look at the standings to end this season, or end this episode. So we got Baltimore, Yankees, Royals in there again, had the best record in baseball, and all of baseball this year. Detroit in, White Sox, pretty decent year for them, and Mariners squeaking it out over Texas. No 50 home run players this year, but who is this Jeremy Myers, 5-star player who I haven't been aware of, but man, he's putting together a good start to his career. 2 back-to-back years leading the league in wins above replacement. Good year from him. Rocky Stromain picked up 18 wins this year. That's pretty high for this league. He's got I would say the best chance at the Cy Young. Zach Owenby, another year where he leads the league in strikeouts. I think that's, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times he's done that. 16 wins. That's pretty good win total for him. That's career high. So it looks like the win totals have been fairly low in this playthrough for the most part. 14, 15, somewhere around in there is usually the league leader, but this year pretty decent in the American League. This guy's just been very consistent throughout his career. He's won the Cy Young 3 times. This is probably his 4th, if I'm guessing. But he hasn't put up. He's fairly young at 32, but he hasn't put up, I would say, the career type Hall of Fame numbers you're expecting. But he's probably got a good chance. A few more years, maybe gets close to 200 wins. He'll have a good chance, I think, at the Hall of Fame. And then for the National League, Braves really ran away with it. I know the start of the season, the preseason predictions had these 4 teams right here kind of jumbled up. I think they even put the Mets above Miami. Mets had a really off year. Cincinnati had a great year. Cubs in the wild card, and then Colorado and Los Angeles. San Francisco not too far behind. But man, we really tanked again down the stretch, which is what we did last year. I look back at that last season, 88 wins. We had really had the wild card locked up and just totally blew it in that last month. Kaufman, we did have a 50-plus home run guy in the National League. This guy's, he's at 397 home runs right now. Signed for a couple more years, looks like. It's going to be interesting to see how he finishes out. Juan Ramirez never won an MVP. I don't know if that's going to be enough to get it to him. He did lead the league in wins above replacement. Pretty solid player, though, for the most part in his career. He might have a chance at it. But that's not many Phillies showing up. Only Mendoza in the saves category. And I think that's it. Not too great. Looking at our team stats. So pitching was still better this year than it has been. Offense struggled. I think injuries were the main problem there, but man, that could have been a much different outcome there towards the end. But a lot of things I think positive to look at in the offseason. I think we're going to have some room to make some decent attempts at some big free agents. I'm hoping that I'm hoping that's not a fluke. I'm hoping that he'll come back looking good next year. His last couple starts, though, really not that great, you can see. But hopefully these two guys are something to build on. We got a few guys down here in Double-A, and like Dean, he's probably going to get a chance to move up. I think I called him up to Double-A before this episode. But we got some decent prospects. Benefield, like the makeup of this guy. I like how he's developing. Another couple years, he might be ready. So there's some positives. It's just going to be a slow, painful rebuild. I don't think we're going to go out and sign maybe 2 free agents going to put us over the top, but it's possible we can make the playoffs again with the right pickups in the offseason. But as always, I'm going to sim offline through the playoffs, probably get through free agent signing period, or at least the start of the free agent signing period, and I'll come back and we'll take a look at where we're at in the offseason. But as always, I appreciate your likes and comments and subscriptions and everything, and hope you guys are enjoying this series, and I'll keep it going until I'm either fired or I can't see a way towards a winning team. I'll put it that way. If it gets to the point where I think I'm done, I can't give it up, then I'll try something else. But I'm probably going to do another playthrough too with a current team, and I've got some ideas. I think I mentioned last episode, I'm just not ready to get that one started yet, but shortly I will be, I think. But look for that one in the future, and then I'll see you next episode for this one. Thanks.